Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Country Club Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Leo McMahon. The podcast is for people that want to get ahead in the golf industry. If you're one of those people, we're the place for you. Today, our guest is Dale Merritt. Dale is the CEO of Golfpay, a software company that specializes in tee time reservations, amongst other things. Welcome, Dale.
Thanks, Leo. Thanks for inviting me today.
Great to have you. Thank you for coming on. Dale, as we get going here, can you just give us a description of your company?
Yeah, Golfpay is a golf course management software company. We deliver services to golf courses, of course, to help them run their business more efficiently, drive more revenue. We first got our start in 2018, and we were a booking engine company, and then we've evolved since then into a golf course management software. So it's more end to end now versus when we started, it was more for delivering a better booking experience and then integrating with other companies to deliver that. So now we are one of those other companies that we don't have to integrate with others.
Great. When you say it's a golf management company, what does all that entail anyway?
So really everything that the golf course needs software-wise, for the most part, to run their business. So booking tee times in the pro shop, and of course online, point of sale system, dynamic pricing, everything, and then making sure that we have the integrations we need for golf courses to do some of the other things like sync with their their accounting software, their loyalty programs, things like that. So we really touch on every aspect of the business. If they have a restaurant, we provide all the software for the restaurant and so forth. So the only thing we don't really interact with in a big way is that any of the outdoors, maintenance.
Okay. Tell me about your food and beverage part of your software.
So it's really all built into the point of sale system. And so they, if a restaurant needs, set up tables, split tips up, different ways before and after the order gets closed out. Essentially anything that, the golf course needs to run their restaurant when it comes to accepting, payments, inventory management, things like that.
Can this be used for private clubs and public golf courses?
Yes, private clubs as well. Our software, Golfpay 360, which is really sort of the dashboard for everything. It's this, the operating system for everything, including the restaurant. There's, essentially, it's going to do that as well.
In your golf tee time part of the package, can they do a lottery type system?
No, we can't do the lottery. We've been requested that, but we don't have enough requests to like put it in development. But yeah, it's on the map to do that. But we don't, we've been hearing more and more about the lottery system. We kind of like the whole idea, but as we get more inquiries about that, we'll probably move that up to the little higher on the priority list.
Right. So can you give us a story about your journey through business? You obviously you didn't walk out of high school and become the CEO of Golfpass. Can you give us your business journey?
Yeah, so I've really been in business almost my whole life. I've had a few jobs, but not really that many. First job I ever had, I think I was around, not job, I mean business. I was around 19 years old, and me and a friend of mine had an idea. Let's start a landscaping business. So we did that, cut grass, things like that. Then we grew the business, to several trucks, but we were just looking to, raise money for beer money and to pay rent, things like that. It wasn't, we
Right.
were, but that was like my first taste. My dad was in business, so I had a lot of experience, seeing him run his business. So it just was a natural extension for me. And then we got in the golf business. I have 6 different exits under my belt where I've sold different companies, built them up. But when I got in the golf business in 2014, we bought a couple small golf software companies. We built those companies up and then turned around and sold those companies. And then we launched Golfpay in 2017 when it came in beta. I should say launched our beta in 2000, beginning of 2018.
So at 19 years old, you were buying trucks for your landscape company.
Yeah, it wasn't like my intention to grow anything big. I didn't have that big of ambition back then, to be honest with you. It just sort of was a natural thing. Um, make your own hours. Um, and we just visited businesses. Hey, we'll cut your grass for, what are you paying now? Well, we'll do it for less, type of thing. Just really simple pitch. And we were getting lots of business. And it got to a certain point where we're like, all right, we're working harder than we wanted to. So,
So were you going to college at that time or no?
no, I never went to college. I graduated high school, and just like the rest of my family, we went straight to work, doing something.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Nice. Very good.
had an opportunity. I was invited by a number of great colleges, so including some scholarship stuff. But just it never interested me to continue my education. I wanted to start going out and making money, make my way, and so that was my thought.
Interesting. Interesting. Uh, what's the best event that ever happened in your career? If you could pick out one event that was the highlight of your career so far, what would you say that was?
Highlight of my career. Gosh, I've had a lot of good successes with business. I can't really point at a particular thing. It's really it's sort of different stages of learning has been always something that I put a lot of value on. Sometimes even when you have a, let's say, we'll call it a failure. Let's say it's a failure. You get into a business, you don't really take everything into account, and you just fail at the business, and you just move on. Really, it's really those that you learn the most from. One in particular situation, I had developed a software company, and we were approached by a company, and we were integrated with Twitter, and this was 2007, and we were doing really well. And company reached out to me and said that we want to acquire your company. They put a ridiculous offer out there, and I'm like, okay, let's see if they're serious. So we drew up the contracts. They wired us the money within 3 or 4 days. I mean, it was so fast. Um, then I find out it was Twitter that bought it, but I didn't know it was Twitter. So because the transaction moved so quickly, um, I didn't even take time to really research the company that was trying to acquire me. I did a little bit, um, spent some time, but they were really good at moving it quickly. And so then so obviously if I knew it was Twitter, I would have held out, for a lot more money. But we did okay anyway. But I would say that was a learning experience that, I'll never forget.
So they pulled a fast one on you, is what you're saying?
I wouldn't say they pulled a fast one on me. I would just say they were super smart, way smarter than I was when it comes to that kind of stuff. Um, you know, basically what happens is these big companies like Twitter, whatever it is, whoever it is, a lot of times they go through third parties to do an acquisition because they don't want the person they're trying to buy it from to know that they have that much money.
Oh, okay, okay.
So they go through these intermediators that essentially their whole business model is to go out and acquire companies, but it's for the purpose of turning it over to the company that actually backed the deal. And that I didn't even know that existed, but it sure made a lot of sense after it was done.
So was
Save a lot of money
was
that
that
way.
was that a good event or a bad event? What would you say?
It was bittersweet because I, regretted not researching the buyer better.
Okay,
Because if I'd known who it was and the reason they wanted to buy it, I probably could have got three times what I got. You
right.
know. So anyway, it's really those learning experiences that you kind of value the most. That's a
Was
that's an example.
was that the worst event that you've ever been part of, or was there anything worse than that?
Well, I mean, I got into business and didn't anticipate really everything. So I've had six different companies I've sold over the years where I've built them up. But I've had a number of companies that I started that just didn't take off, um, for whatever reason. So those are experiences as well that I move forward. But I wouldn't say I've had any what I call bad experiences per se.
Okay. Uh, how many people are working for you right now in the Golfpay company?
Yeah, so we have nine employees, and then we've got subcontractors, besides that. So we work with a lot of subcontractors. We like to keep our core team fairly small. Just helps from a management standpoint. Plus, we don't really work out of a central office. It allows us all, to collaborate consistently online and keep it really tight.
So if you could recommend one business book, which one would it be? What's your favorite?
Gosh, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't read a lot of business books. I don't. I read a lot of digital stuff, like online. I like Harvard Review. I read that a lot. But in terms of like something, open up a book and read it, or any kind of book like that, I like to you really have to stay up to date because things move so fast. I learn a lot more from just seeing what's going on in real time. Um,
Online?
yeah, like Harvard Review, I really like that.
Okay,
But yeah, I like anything I can get my hands on when it comes to looking at materially what is happening today, what looks like is happening in the future. I mean, I think I adhere to basic business principles that you know that these books are about. So
right, right,
I've never really tried to find out what people have done. I focus on what they're doing.
right. Where do you see Golfpay in the next 5 years? What do you think it's going to be?
Well, we partnered with a cooperative company. I think I mentioned to you previously. And so the whole idea behind this cooperative, it's a golf course owner owned, and we have this agreement between the two companies where we're helping them develop a lot of software tools that allow them to run their business more independently and not have to rely on third parties. So we are gearing everything toward building that cooperative up so they can start tapping into more of the broader golf economy. Um, in terms of like footprint wise, I think our goal is to be in about 500, 600 golf courses in that period of time at least.
How many are you at today?
Well, we have the booking engine side of things, which we got into about 166 courses. Uh, in the current version of the software, we're in nine.
Okay. What's your goal for this year, for 2025? What's the big number you're looking for? The big goal.
Yeah, we don't really have a goal specifically in terms of number of courses. I think we're only have planned on having around 25. I think we're on track for that. our focus more on the development side. We're building our own AI platform, so that way golf courses can run their business a lot more efficiently, understand more about their business. I don't know if you're familiar, if you use ChatGPT. I assume you probably do from time to time.
Uh, he's my best friend.
Same here. So we've created one just for golf, so for the golf business. And it pulls in all the data from the golf course, all the transaction data, all the customer data, um, everything, essentially every data point that the golf course has. We collect it because we control all of that software for the golf course. And so with just imagine having Chat GPT just for your business in real time. So everything, all the data gets imported in real time. So you can start, it's essentially like having your own analyst working for you that understands every aspect of your business and then gives you the ability to, know where to go with your business decisions, how to go about that.
Now, that sounds really exciting. How come ChatGPT can't do that? I have to buy a specific golf artificial intelligence tool?
Yeah, well, there's so you get information that you put in, and so you can use ChatGPT and you can, let's say, upload your customer base, and if you want to out type out, what all of that data means, you would get a decent, um, I would say, response, but you'd have to upload the file. You'd have to describe the file and have, make sure it's in perfect context. And then ChatGPT pulls in data from more of an aggregate data from out there on the internet and sort of puts it all there together in a way, depending on what questions you ask. So it can be a little bit of a convoluted type of response when it's not completely narrowed on your data that you put in that is also being put in real time. So you can't really connect an API to ChatGPT. So
So what you're doing, you're taking your data and putting it into an artificial intelligence package.
correct. Yeah. And so
So what about so let's say a surgeon, they have I guess medical artificial intelligence. That's kind of something similar that you're doing, except for golf.
yeah, exactly. So there's just certain things you can't do with ChatGPT, like you can't pull in real-time data because you don't want to just keep uploading files.
Right, right, right.
You want to have all your connectors with, in terms of what's being put, you know, what's being collected, from the software standpoint, and push that to the AI. So whether it's health, golf, whatever, you want all that data to be really dynamic and flowing in and out based on what you're doing with it.
So it sounds to me, ChatGPT is like a person that knows a little bit about a lot of things, but your golf software is a person who knows a lot about golf.
Yeah, yeah, that and it's the data inputs are way more dynamic, specific to your golf course. Like if you go to ChatGPT and you say, how many tee times did my golf course book today? You would they wouldn't know,
Right.
right? But if you uploaded a file, let's say you uploaded a file, all of today's bookings, it could tell you that.
Okay, 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 okay.
So assuming that you added the right context, so when you upload the file, you describe it right. But that's just a very slow way. I mean, the whole idea of AI is you get very intelligent answers based on real time data that is up to the second.
So
Uh,
let's say a member in the golf staff would just upload the data at the end of every day.
yeah, well, they wouldn't have to upload it because we pull in all the data for them. So they don't have to really upload the data with our system. With
But
ChatGPT, Yeah,
It would happen automatically with your system.
yeah, it would happen automatically. Uh, with
Wow.
Chat, with ChatGPT, yeah, you could upload a file. Like if I put all the historical information of my business, I could upload a file, and it would analyze it in more general sense based on its understanding of what all of the columns of data mean. So
Right.
you'd have to add some context so it understood it, because initially it would spit out to you probably information that doesn't make any sense. So what a specific um, AI platform is going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to be pinpoint accurate in terms of the information that you get out of it.
Well, you sold me. That was a good explanation. Very good. It's amazing. I think I retired in April of 2023, and there was no talk of AI in 2023. And I study a lot, almost every day, and I really didn't notice artificial intelligence at that time. I'm sure it was around, but it's taken off like crazy. In 2 years I've been out of the business.
Yeah, if you look at the user growth, it's pretty insane. I think that any business that doesn't really at least have a good 30,000-foot view of how it's going to affect their business, everything from helping them save money to potentially losing control of your customer. I mean, there's two ends of the spectrum that both are going to happen. And golf course operators that don't understand the value of owning the data you have, the data that's being collected on your customers, and also owning the software that you use. So you're not a company that, like for example, Golf Now, they have software and they grab a lot of the data and they use it for their own purposes. With our system and our business model using the co-op as kind of the flow through of everything we do, we're all about turning over all of the data and collecting even more of it. So AI you can really leverage AI to drive more incremental income, more customers in your customer base, and so forth. Um, the other end of the spectrum is you lose control of your customer because someone else is doing it better. In the case of Golf Now, um, they have their own AI, but their AI is focused on making them more money, not really helping the golf course make more money. It might,
So when I get artificial intelligence from you, it'll be from several golf courses, not just my own golf course.
there is an aggregate um, value that you get from a golf course perspective. Like the co-op, for example, is a collection of golf courses. So
Right,
there's an agreement between these golf courses that they're going to share, the more of the high level data information.
right, right,
They're going to share that so it can help them, run their business better and help inform the AI platform to work better, so they can cooperate with each other instead of always competing with one another, but they can
right,
cooperate in a way that everybody wins,
right. Not just golf now.
not
That,
just
that's a
golf
good
now.
that's a good thing. Uh, yeah, as a general manager, it was always difficult to watch. And even though I try to err on the side of our employees, but some days that we'd have no business, and you'd have 4 or 5 people standing around in the dining room. And if we had better information, we could have saw that coming way ahead of time.
And that's exactly what the kind of thing that AI will do for you. If it has all the data, it can tell you how to staff, whether you need to have, you know, 5 people, in the restaurant, or just, three. It looks at weather patterns, uh,
Wow.
how that's going to affect your business, and it's looking at that in advance. So, it can predict exactly what your staffing should be, whether it's in the pro shop, the outdoors, whatever, restaurant. So that's, I mean, at the end of the day, where we're going with this, Leo, is that the golf course will have an anonymous, basically this way to create an action based on the data, just put it on autopilot. So
Right, right. This is how many staff you need today.
yeah, and basically, it's, whether it be staff or whether it's trying to think of,
Inventory,
yeah,
hamburgers.
yeah, you're gonna need to order more hamburger. You'll be out
Right.
probably by tomorrow afternoon around 4 p.m. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it could get extremely precise. Does that mean it's going to be 100% accurate? Because you can't always control. Somebody might come in and buy last minute buy 100 hamburgers.
Right,
So,
right.
but it's going to allow you to kind of get inventory management, get more precise there, staffing, how what they need to do to bring in more customers. I mean, anything you can think of, if you have all the data for it, you can have the insights to do the right thing to run your business.
So our staff would be making educated guesses based on the limited data that they had and the experience that they had. And artificial intelligence can make a better educated guess is what it comes down to.
That's really what it comes down to. And
Right.
it's just because an owner sees he should only have three people in the restaurant, he may have access to more information, and so he can adjust it. But like if he knows he just got a call from somebody and they say they're coming down, he's a regular customer, and you know they're going to order a lot of stuff, and then so they know that, right? So they're not going to make a decision to not order something unless they have that full context. So there's probably certain things that would be put on autopilot, and there's certain things that would go into like a holding pin of decisions the golf course can look at and make, and just click okay, 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 no, okay, no, and just and it'll automatically do the things you want it to do, whether it's to reconfigure the software. Maybe an example is increase the intervals between tee times or decrease it to make room for more for golfers to be put out on the golf course. That kind of thing.
Uh, Let me see here. For you, so you said, I think 8 employees on staff. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, about nine. We have
9?
Yeah,
Now, do
9.
you have weekly meetings with those 9 people?
We have daily
Like
meetings. Yeah,
daily meetings? And all 9 show up for the daily meeting?
usually about 6 or 7.
And what's that agenda like for the daily meeting?
And just to be clear, we have you know 2 daily meetings, so one's more for technology. So we have daily meetings for 2 different groups of people.
Right. What's the agenda like for the technology group?
Just go over what we're doing, what everybody's working on, get some clarity on where there's questions. So before they start their day, we have questions on how we want to develop this, or what this user interface should look like. Um, would looking at, I have to approve everything for the most part. That's just the way I prefer it. So like user experience designs, I make sure I look at every single one of those. And so it's just a matter, it's all goes into planning, checking in with each other, make sure everybody has what they need, and then going on with our day. It doesn't last long. It's probably a 20 or 30-minute call normally.
Okay. When you say you make the final call on all these, do they have a lot of input on, if there's a problem that arises, how do you
Yeah,
handle that?
they have a lot of autonomy over the years. They kind of know what they need to run by me if something pops up before the following day where we're doing our daily stand up call. Um, But yeah, I try to make sure I approve of every feature, every user experience. Um, I answer every question they have, and then there's certain things that they no matter how I answer the question, it's not going to really slow down or impede them. So they might try something on their own just to see, and then run it by me the following day. And then usually they're right a lot more than they're wrong. So you have a really good relationship that way.
Now, do you have a marketing and sales team, or you're the marketing and sales team?
No, we have a small, just a few people doing that right now. We're actually going out for funding and for capital to hire more salespeople. But yeah, we just recently concluded a webinar we did last month that went extremely well. So we kind of like that where we're going with that. So we're trying different things this year, getting ready really for the new season is going to be our big push for 2026.
Now, you said you're looking for funding. Where do you go for funding?
Well, we have existing investors, and then we just go out to different sources of you know capital that we have access to. Um, so yeah, it just depends. Really, we're not really anything specific. Just reach out to connections we have.
So what about your accounting department? How many, you have one person, two people?
Yeah, we use an outside accounting firm.
Okay.
So really, we have a regular bookkeeper, and that takes care of pretty much throughout the year. And then it's really the end of the year where you're doing taxes, where the accountant comes into the mix, unless something comes up, that's important. But everything is just pretty straightforward until the end of the year. Then you bring an accountant in.
Right. So who are the specialists then that you have that you meet with every day? Those are the software people?
Yeah, that's really well, I wouldn't say that it's both. We're making business decisions in one regular meeting, and then we're making technology decision in the other daily meeting.
And I guess you're knowledgeable enough to get involved in the technology decisions. That must be pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's what I have the most passion for. So
Wow.
yeah, it's what I've developed, not coded myself, but I've been product owner for a lot of different software systems over the years, going back 25 years. So
So what will that meeting be like today? What are you going to be talking about today at that meeting, if you don't mind me asking?
well, I skipped the meeting today because of this call, but because you're so important, Leo. But no, I normally let's say so instead of having the meeting today, I just sent out emails right before we got on a call here. So I just going over just some instructions on different they call them cards, different cards that have been set up for the developers, which are basically kind of tasks, but very with a lot of explanation, screenshots, things like that. So I just sent out some emails, just letting everybody know what I want to make sure they're focusing on, and send them over questions with respect to. I mean, we're putting a lot of effort and energy and resources into the AI side of the platform, so that's where um, a lot of our focus is currently.
So to me, as an outsider, it sounds unbelievable. Like how fast, like you're focusing on this stuff every single day to make it better. It's unbelievable how fast things move. And you obviously you can't rest on your laurels. You got to keep moving too, right?
Yeah, this guy kind of goes back to that question you had about what business books I read. I honestly, I'm so immersed in what I do and what other people are doing, whether it be competitors, not just in golf, but just in other verticals where I see some commonality, and you can learn from what's going on in real time. And so, in order to do that, you really have to be immersed daily. You have to talk to people every single day, because you can't be disconnected when you're talking about technology. You really
Right.
have to stay immersed in it. So it's like it's sort of part of the everybody's consciousness. I mean, everybody is just immersed into what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, where we're going with it, where we could be going with it. Um, so it's a lot of fun. It's like everybody getting into a sandbox and playing as a kid when you have a new, when you have a bunch of new toys. So it's kind of what life.
So,
It's what it is.
so your 8 or 9 employees, what gets them out of the bed in the morning, you think? What makes them excited to come to work?
Well, you'd have to ask them. All I can say is that they're very engaged and they're not, even though we all work from home, we're very connected. And I think in order to be as connected as we are, you have to get out of bed in the morning and want to do this. So what's exactly behind, what everybody's motivation is. Some people are very family centric, still have kids, things like that. And then there's, others that don't. So we have just different sets of motivations. But I think we're all driven by the creative aspect of what we do. I think that's what really gets most people's juices going. It's in creating or developing something new, in collaboration with others, hopefully. And I think, AI is obviously getting a lot of attention, but also just, you know, providing support to our customers in the most white glove way we can, and that's we're very proud of that aspect of our business as well.
Yeah, so I'm thinking as a former general manager, you're helping me hopefully be able to spend more time with my members because I can use your artificial intelligence and your other tools. You're helping me work with my employees because now they can put a little more time in on our members and our guests because their decision making is a little bit more reliant on AI rather than themselves, which could take a while to make one decision could take a couple hours, where AI a couple of minutes, you know.
Well, you've experienced that, Leo, where you've personally used, I'm just assuming this, but where you use ChatGPT to to accomplish something, and something that would have took you, whatever period of time, you get in seconds. So just put that into the golf business. So yeah, to your point, you're going to be able to spend more time with your members, developing relationships, cultivating those relationships, um, and
You know
really,
what? I'm going to cut you off there. So that because I'm looking for the noble part of your operation, you know.
mhm.
So if I can spend more time with my members and more time with my staff, that's a good thing because now lives become better, you know. If it's just going to make us work faster and harder, I'm not interested in it. But if I can make better connections with people, that's pretty impressive, you know. That's pretty good.
Yeah, obviously you have to recognize that and be that kind of person anyway. But if you have the right people in place, they're not distracted, so they're not distracted by, things that can be very frustrating and put you in a bad mood. So
Right. That's a good point. That's a good
you
point.
know what I mean? If you're confident about how your operation is moving, um, and the decisions being made that's being assisted by AI, and you have more time to spend with the people, the members, that's you're going to be in a better mood. You're going to present better to your customer. And at the end of the day, if you have a good connection with your customer, you know them by name, maybe even know their family,
Right, right, right.
you know, those people want to come back because they're drawn to that connection. Just
Exactly.
that relation. It's way better. Everybody's like that Cheers program. It's like, everybody knows everybody, and so they keep coming back every every night.
Right.
So it's really kind of the same thing. No cares, no worries, just focus on each other.
Yeah, since I'm 68 years old now, and one part of me is saying better technology, more stress, you know?
Yeah,
But what you're just saying, it could be less stress, or will be less stress because I'm interacting with my fellow man, and making that person's day a little better.
yeah. I mean, I'm a firm believer, like this mobile phone we all carry around. This could be it's either a gift or it's a curse. So it just can make you more busy, or you could use it to make yourself less busy.
Right,
Hopefully with AI, that essentially becomes eventually AI is going to end up being the interface for everybody.
right,
Whether I would say within 10 years, you know, AI, we're gonna only be interfacing with AI.
right. Yeah, you mentioned the TV show Cheers. I sometimes associate AI with Cliff Clavin. You know, he thought he knew everything. Right?
Yeah, he thinks he knows everything. That's the difference.
Uh, Now, getting you mentioned something before. So as much technological advances you're making and everybody else is making, you still have, you said, basic business practices, and those really haven't changed in a couple hundred years. That's the way I'm seeing it. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I think the only thing that really changes is the tools and the culture. So like, you know, people's, how people live their life today is different. But as far as the just basic business principles, I don't think they're really changed.
Right,
Um,
right,
you know, yeah, obviously the the new generation, whether it be new generation of golfers, or I mean, you got golf influencers now. So technology changes, culture changes, and a lot of that culture is driven by technology. And then you've got, um, but you have the basic principles, the foundation of business you know that really doesn't change.
right,
That's just
right,
my opinion. It changes in the sense that you have to tweak some things, how you do things, but it's always about communication, how you communicate with your fellow employee, your um, peer. That sort of changes a little bit because we're exposed to different things today than we did, when we were younger.
Let me see what else I have here. You have a set of core values for GolfPay, the business that you run.
Yeah, I try to drive as much value to the golf course as we can, and then learn and then figure out how to capture that value and make money. That's really it. When we started the business, it's not changed. What our focus is to help golf course operators be more efficient, make more money. And we know in order to maximize that, you have to be all in for what's good for the golf course, not what. And if you can be that, and then find a way to capture value, in other words, charge for that, where everybody is when it's fair, um, then it's a win-win situation. I think a lot of third parties, they'll tend to focus on how they're making money, and then the golf course is really secondary. And I understand that. I absolutely understand that. I'm not saying that model doesn't work for golf courses, but the way we've always wanted to do focus in order to get golf course operators more independent from the third parties like Golf Now, you have to do more for the golf course than what they're doing in order to help them grow and scale their business. It can't be just you know, I found a way to make money with my business, and you can get the scraps. It has to be, we're driving value to the golf course in a way that other third parties can't because of our business model. And then we've found a way to capture value and make money from that. And then nobody begrudges anybody, right? So in the case of golf now, I think golf courses, a great majority of them really begrudge that relationship.
Yeah, well said. Very well said. Uh, do you have a mentor?
Uh, my mentors are probably gone, but I had one in particular that really helped. My dad was a big one, but I had another man by the name of Jim Howe that he just taught me a lot, and really about those basic business principles. Um, so yeah,
That's important. That's important, man, right?
yeah, and I think at the end of the day, if you trust people, anybody can be a mentor for particular things. But he was more of a father figure, um, in that sense that I really trusted everything he had to say, and he had a lot of success to prove that he knew what he was talking about. So how about you? How about you, Leo?
That's why I asked you. I have several mentors, uh, and I couldn't function without them, to be quite honest with you. And that's what I would pass on to people. I don't think anybody can do this alone. You know, I certainly can't. Do you think you could do it alone? You needed help to get where you are today, right?
Yeah, I mean, I rely on people every single day. I don't I try not to act like I know it all. But obviously, if you're in business for yourself, you better learn a lot about what you're doing. You need to know a little bit about everything, in my opinion. At least that's just my perspective. But yeah, you got to have people you can lean on, you can call. And there's a lot of people besides just regular, like what I consider mentors, but people that I really trust their knowledge or experience. Can you give me just a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. So, yeah, I was a mentor or a personal board of directors. So you have people that you can go to if you get thrown a curveball. Hey, let me give Joe a call. I think he might have the answer to this, or he might be able to walk me through this, or help me out, or just make me feel calmer.
Yeah,
You have,
yeah, we have advisors too for the business that sit on our board. So we've got
excellent.
investors, we got advisors, and we just have a really good core group of people. So there really nothing really gets thrown at us that we can't figure out at some point.
So in closing here, for me, it's all about connecting people, and you're doing that. If used properly, your products will give people in the golf industry more time to interact with club members, more time to interact with them with their staff, and they'll be in better moods because they won't be banging their heads against the wall looking for information.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's utopia. That's what we're driving for.
and then the other thing I look for is serving others, and you are serving others. You're serving the golf community by making it better. And I like where you're coming from. You're not in to take the whole pie or 11 out of 12 slices. You're looking to give a little to the golf, the golf course, as opposed to some other companies that can be looked at as little on the greedy side. Uh, is there anything you want to say in closing, Dale?
No, I just appreciate the time. I've been following you a little bit on LinkedIn. We've had a couple nice calls in the past. So I'm like what you guys are doing in terms of putting some light on the industry, which is kind of what we've been doing from a different angle. Um, Obviously there's, even Golf Now, everything that they do, I don't disagree with. I think some of the things they do are good, and can be good for the golf course. But I look at 30,000-foot view of PGA professionals and that whole angle, and I don't pretend to know much about it, but I do enjoy understanding or trying to learn, what is going on and what are the pain points, and you seem to be bringing those to light, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think you hit on the pain points, and I've never had any experience with Golf Now, but people I know in the golf industry that I highly respect, they have no use for Golf Now. They just don't. So hopefully there's a pain point there, like you just said, and you're the guy to take care of them.
Yep, what's we're doing.
Okay, Dale. So enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for coming on. And maybe we'll have you again in another year to see how far the technology world has moved ahead
Be
from
happy.
1 year today.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks for having me, Leo.
All right. Have a good day, Dale. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.